This is not coincidence, it is communication. When the universe speaks, it whispers through repeating numbers, sudden connections, and divine timing. In this audiobook, you'll learn how to recognize those whispers and step into alignment with your destiny. Nothing is coincidence. Introduction. The universe has always spoken to you, not in words, but in signs, in symbols, in patterns too precise to ignore. Beneath the veil of ordinary life, divine intelligence moves like a sacred current, weaving invisible threads through your days. Every repeating number, every chance encounter, every thought that becomes reality is part of this celestial design. When you glance at the clock and see the same numbers again, when a stranger echoes the very words you were just thinking, when someone you dreamed of reaches out the next morning, these are not accidents. These are whispers from the infinite, calling you to remember. Nothing is coincidence. Behind every moment is a higher order, a divine symmetry guiding you toward your soul's unfolding. The mystics knew it, and now you are beginning to see it. Life is not random. It is a living oracle, and you are its seeker. When you begin to notice, to truly listen, the illusion of chaos falls away. You realize you are, and have always been, guided, watched, and deeply known. The universe has never left your side. It is speaking still, and everything it says begins with this truth. Nothing is coincidence. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Part 1. When the Universe Speaks. Chapter 1. The Whispers Begin. In the bustling heart of a great city, Eleanor sat at her desk, her spirit as gray as the walls surrounding her. Day after day, she found herself drawn to a particular license plate, 4891 Maple, appearing in the most unexpected places. First in the parking garage, then outside her favorite cafe, and finally, passing her on the highway during her morning commute. The number tugged at her memory, until one evening, sorting through old photographs, she discovered why. 4891 Maple Street was where her childhood friend, an artist who had always believed in Eleanor's hidden talents as a writer, had once lived. Following this sign led Eleanor to reconnect with her friend, who now ran a successful publishing house seeking new voices. The universe speaks through the language of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that pierce the veil of ordinary reality. These divine messages appear when the infinite intelligence that orchestrates all existence wishes to guide you toward your highest path. Like ripples in the fabric of reality, synchronicities reveal the underlying unity connecting all things, showing you that you are never truly lost or alone. In the fields of the heartland, Samuel tended his crops with careful precision, paying no mind to the unusual number of white butterflies that had begun appearing on his land. "Just insects," he would mutter, brushing aside his wife's observations about their increasing presence. Yet as the season progressed, those same fields yielded the most abundant harvest in the county's history. The following year, when the white butterflies returned, Samuel noticed his neighbors' fields remained untouched by these ethereal visitors, and so did their harvest. Through this experience, Samuel learned that nature itself offers signs to those willing to notice them, speaking in a language older than words. Like Samuel, you may have been overlooking the very signs meant to guide you toward prosperity and purpose. The universe has not been silent. It has been speaking all along, waiting for you to recognize its voice in the poetry of everyday moments. To attune yourself to this sacred language, Begin keeping a First Whispers journal. For 7 days, record every instance of repeated numbers, recurring symbols, or unusual coincidences that cross your path. Make no attempt to interpret these signs. Simply document them with the pure attention of a witness. This practice will sharpen your awareness of the universe's constant communication, revealing patterns that have always been present but previously unnoticed. Through this simple act of attention, you open yourself to the guidance that has never ceased flowing toward you. Chapter 2. The Ancient Knowing. Within the hushed halls of the city's oldest library, Margaret traced her fingers along ancient spines, drawn to texts that seemed to call out across centuries. For 40 years, she had witnessed strange occurrences: birds tapping at her window before important news arrived, dreams that unveiled future events, and numbers that danced through her days with mysterious meaning. But it wasn't until she began discovering identical accounts in texts from vastly different cultures that the truth revealed itself. From yellowed Sanskrit manuscripts to medieval European grimoires, from Native American oral histories to African tribal wisdom, the same patterns emerged. Every civilization had documented the way the universe speaks through signs, symbols, and meaningful coincidences. The Chinese I Ching described how heaven communicates through synchronized events. Celtic mystics wrote of thin places where divine messages pierce the veil of ordinary reality. Desert prophets received guidance through natural phenomena. These weren't mere superstitions. They were humanity's oldest record of cosmic communication. The universe has always spoken this way. Your ancestors understood this sacred language, reading messages in the flight of birds, the patterns of clouds, and the rhythmic occurrence of numbers and symbols. This wisdom flows through your bloodline, a birthright waiting to be reclaimed. Thomas, a respected historian, spent decades dismissing such accounts as primitive superstition. In his climate-controlled office, surrounded by academic accolades, he methodically documented what he considered the foolish beliefs of ancient peoples. Yet as he traced these patterns across continents and millennia, a question began to haunt him. How could so many separate civilizations, across such vast distances of time and space, describe the same experiences of divine communication? The mathematical probability that millions of people over thousands of years were all equally deluded defied reason. Perhaps, he realized, the delusion lay not in their beliefs but in his dismissal of them. You carry this same knowing within you. Like Thomas, you may have been taught to doubt what your deepest instincts recognize as true. Yet the capacity to read the universe's signs lives in your very cells, passed down through countless generations who survived and thrived by heeding these divine messages. To reawaken this ancestral wisdom, practice this ancestral remembering meditation. Find a quiet space and sit comfortably. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, allowing your awareness to sink into your body. Silently call upon your lineage, all those who came before you who knew how to read the sacred language of synchronicity. Ask them to help you remember what they knew. Remain in this receptive state for several minutes, noting any impressions, feelings, or memories that arise. Trust that the wisdom of your ancestors flows through you, waiting to be remembered. Chapter 3. Beyond the Veil of Randomness. Within the pristine halls of the university's mathematics department, Charlotte filled blackboard after blackboard with complex equations. Her colleagues watched with growing concern as she attempted to calculate the statistical probability of encountering the same sequence of numbers in different contexts throughout her day. The equations grew more intricate, yet the answers remained elusive. One morning, as sunlight streamed through the classroom windows, Charlotte stood before her calculations, chalk dust settling around her. In that moment of stillness, a profound truth emerged. She had been trying to measure the immeasurable, to quantify that which exists beyond the realm of numbers. The universe operates through patterns too subtle for mathematical formulas to capture. What humans label as random merely reflects the limitations of their perception, not the true nature of reality. When you release your need to explain everything through logic and probability, you begin to perceive the intelligent design woven into every moment of your existence. In the heart of a bustling casino, Walter observed the flow of numbers across countless screens and tables. After 15 years of watching players chase luck, he noticed something extraordinary. The same numbers that appeared in winning combinations would manifest in his parking spot, his grocery receipts, and the timestamps of important messages. At first, he dismissed these patterns as selective attention, a trick of the mind. But as the patterns grew more intricate and undeniable, Walter realized that randomness itself was an illusion. What appeared as chaos to others revealed itself as intricate choreography to his awakening awareness. The numbers weren't just appearing by chance, they were speaking a language he was finally learning to understand. The universe does not operate by chance. Every detail of your experience has been carefully arranged to communicate with you. Like Walter, you are being invited to develop a new way of seeing, one that perceives the hidden order beneath apparent disorder. To begin perceiving these patterns, engage in this pattern recognition exercise. For the next 3 days, carry a small notebook with you. Without attempting to force meaning or connections, simply document any recurring numbers, symbols, or events you notice. Write down the time, place, and context of each occurrence. Don't analyze or interpret, simply observe and record. At the end of 3 days, review your notes. You may discover that what initially seemed like random events actually forms a coherent pattern of communication from the universe to you. Remember, the goal is not to manufacture meaning, but to train your awareness to recognize the natural patterns that already exist in your daily experience. Trust that as you practice this careful observation, the hidden order of your life will gradually reveal itself. Chapter 4: The Universe Conspires. In a sun-filled studio apartment, Henry stood before his easel, paintbrush suspended in midair. His rent was due tomorrow, and his bank account held barely enough for a week's groceries. Yet as he contemplated his circumstances, he recalled the extraordinary chain of events that had led him to this moment. 3 months ago, a stranger had stopped him in the park, drawn to the sketchbook under his arm. That chance encounter led to his first gallery showing. When he needed specialized materials he couldn't afford, an old friend unexpectedly repaid a long-forgotten loan. Each time his spirit wavered, someone appeared with exactly the encouragement, resource, or opportunity he needed. The universe moves with exquisite precision, orchestrating countless events to support your highest path. What appears as chance is actually evidence of an intelligent force working tirelessly on your behalf. This force doesn't operate from a distant realm. It is the very essence of existence itself, expressing through every person you meet and every circumstance you encounter. When you align with your authentic purpose, the universe responds by arranging reality to support your journey. Every synchronicity serves as confirmation that you are not alone in your endeavors, that an infinite intelligence is actively conspiring to manifest your highest good. Rose discovered this truth through the challenges of single motherhood. Looking back, she recognized how the universe had tried to warn her about her daughter's health crisis through repeated dreams and unusual encounters with pediatric nurses. When the crisis came, the same synchronistic web brought her to exactly the right doctor who had experience with her daughter's rare condition. As Rose began paying attention, she noticed this pattern everywhere. Before every difficulty, subtle signs appeared to prepare her. After every challenge, perfect solutions emerged through seemingly random circumstances. The universe wasn't just responding to her needs, it was anticipating them, laying groundwork for her success long before she knew she would need support. You too are held within this web of divine orchestration. The same intelligence that ensures planets orbit in perfect harmony is intimately involved in your personal journey. Every coincidence that brings you aid is evidence of this greater intelligence at work. To deepen your awareness of this constant support, practice the Universe Conspires Gratitude exercise. Each morning for 7 days, write down 3 specific ways the universe conspired in your favor the previous day. Include even small synchronicities. The perfect parking space that appeared when you were running late, the unexpected call from a friend who had exactly the information you needed, or the book that fell open to precisely the right page. This practice will train your perception to recognize the countless ways divine intelligence is actively supporting your journey. Chapter 5. The Moment Everything Changes. In the gleaming corridors of a Manhattan skyscraper, Dorothy rushed between meetings, her mind already 3 steps ahead of her body. Numbers danced across spreadsheets in her thoughts as she hurried past a maintenance worker who whistled her grandmother's favorite song. Later, she barely registered the same numbers appearing on a billboard, matching the exact sequence she'd been contemplating. That evening, exhausted on her commute home, she failed to notice that 3 different strangers carried books about the very business innovation she'd been seeking. But one morning, something shifted. As she reached for her phone to check emails, a shaft of sunlight struck her desk at an unusual angle, casting a rainbow across her hand. For the first time in years, she paused. In that moment of stillness, she noticed a pattern in the light that mirrored the solution she'd been seeking for months. This sacred pause opens a gateway between ordinary reality and divine guidance. Each day, the universe extends countless invitations to connect through unusual patterns, repeated symbols, or meaningful coincidences. Yet these messages require something from you: the willingness to stop, to notice, to acknowledge. When you rush through life focused only on your next task, you become blind to the subtle ways universal intelligence attempts to guide you. Each synchronicity offers a choice: to pause and receive its wisdom, or to hurry past, dismissing it as irrelevant. This choice determines whether you walk in conscious partnership with divine intelligence or navigate life's challenges alone. Frank understood this truth during a long-haul drive across the country. 3 times he felt drawn to stop at seemingly random exits. Twice he ignored the urge, focused on making good time. But at the 3rd exit, he finally listened. That pause led him to a small diner where he overheard a conversation that transformed his business and personal life. The difference between magic and mundane, Frank later said, isn't in how many signs you receive, it's in whether you're willing to stop and listen when they appear. The sacred pause practice invites you to create 5 deliberate moments of stillness each day for 1 week. Set gentle reminders on your phone or watch. When they sound, stop whatever you're doing for 30 seconds. Notice the sounds around you, the people nearby, the thoughts crossing your mind. What numbers or symbols appear? What conversations drift your way? What feelings arise? These pauses become windows through which divine guidance can enter, transforming your relationship with the universe's constant stream of communication. Chapter 6. Patterns in the Cosmic Web. In her small workshop filled with vibrant fabrics, Evelyn sat surrounded by unfinished quilts. As sunlight streamed through the window, she noticed something extraordinary in her latest creation, a spiral pattern that mirrored the arrangement of leaves in her garden. That same spiral had appeared in her morning coffee's cream swirl, in the way her cat curled while sleeping, and in the clouds that afternoon. For 30 years, she had crafted quilts using traditional patterns passed down through generations. But now she saw these designs with new eyes. The repeating triangles in her grandmother's favorite pattern matched the flight formations of migrating birds. The concentric circles in her wedding quilt echoed the ripples in still water when touched by morning rain. As weeks passed, Evelyn realized these patterns weren't mere coincidences. They spoke a language older than words, revealing how the same divine intelligence that arranged flower petals also orchestrated the events of her life. Each stitch became a meditation, each pattern a revelation of universal order. When you open your awareness to these sacred patterns, you begin to recognize that synchronicities form constellations of meaning across the tapestry of your experience. Like threads in Evelyn's quilts, each meaningful coincidence connects to others, weaving together moments, symbols, and encounters into coherent messages from the universe. Arthur discovered this truth among his beehives one summer morning. As he watched his bees construct their perfect hexagonal chambers, he noticed the same six-sided pattern in the clouds above. That evening, he found hexagons in the crystalline structure of snowflakes in a photograph, in the dried mud of a riverbed, and in the arrangement of petals on his wife's favorite flowers. During every major transition in his life, career changes, moves, births of his children, Arthur noticed these hexagonal patterns appearing with increasing frequency. Nature was showing him that change follows orderly patterns, that transformation adheres to sacred geometries as precise as those his bees instinctively followed. The pattern mapping exercise invites you to document the patterns emerging in your own life over 2 weeks. Draw a simple circular diagram, placing yourself at the center. Each day, add the patterns you notice: recurring numbers, shapes in nature, themes in conversations, types of encounters. Connect related patterns with lines, allowing the sacred geometry of your experience to emerge visually. Watch as the seemingly random events of your life reveal their hidden order, showing you the divine blueprint underlying all of existence. Chapter 7. The Mirror of Consciousness. Clarence walked through life under a perpetual storm cloud of his own making. Each morning, as dark thoughts swirled in his mind, the world seemed to conspire to confirm his worst fears. Traffic lights turned red in sequence before him. His phone would ring with unwelcome news. Even the numbers on license plates appeared to mock his troubles, repeating patterns that reminded him of difficult dates or debts owed. Yet one autumn morning, something shifted in his awareness. As he watched a murder of crows gather on a power line, a sight that usually filled him with dread, he realized that these omens multiplied precisely when his thoughts turned darkest. In moments of rare peace, different signs appeared: butterflies, unexpected kindness from strangers, found coins gleaming in the sunlight. The universe operates as a perfect mirror, reflecting back the exact frequency of your inner state. Your thoughts and emotions emit vibrations that ripple through the fabric of reality, attracting external circumstances that match their quality and intensity. This is not metaphor, but fundamental law. Consciousness shapes reality at its most basic level. When you radiate fear, the universe responds with experiences that justify that fear. When you emanate love, reality rearranges itself to reflect that love back to you. Every synchronicity serves as a reflection of your dominant vibration, showing you with unwavering accuracy what frequency you're broadcasting into the cosmic web. Pearl discovered this truth during her journey through heartbreak. In the depths of her pain, she encountered constant reminders of her lost love. Songs that played at significant moments in their relationship would follow her from store to store, and she would repeatedly encounter couples who looked just like they once did. But as she gradually released her grip on bitterness, choosing instead to view her experience through eyes of compassion, the nature of her synchronicities transformed. The same song that once brought tears now accompanied moments of unexpected joy. Where she once saw painful reminders of love lost, she began noticing signs of new possibilities. Heart-shaped clouds, repeated numbers that spoke of new beginnings, chance encounters with people who shared her renewed interests. The Consciousness Mirror Check invites you to witness this principle in action. Each morning for 7 days, record your predominant emotional state upon waking. Throughout the day, document the synchronicities that appear, noting their quality, whether they feel supportive or challenging, light or heavy, expansive or constrictive. Watch as the outer world faithfully mirrors your inner landscape, revealing your creative power in shaping the reality you experience. Chapter 8. Signs and Sacred Timing. Vernon lived his life by the clock, his wrist perpetually twisted to check the time, his calendar packed with precisely scheduled meetings. Each morning, he would stride into his office demanding immediate results from investments, instant responses from clients, and quick decisions from partners. When synchronicities appeared, a potential business contact sharing his unusual hometown, or a cab driver mentioning the exact opportunity he sought, Vernon would rush to force outcomes only to watch promising possibilities dissolve like morning mist. One day, while aggressively pursuing a crucial deal, Vernon encountered an old man sitting quietly in the park, feeding pigeons with infinite patience. The man turned to him and spoke. "The fruit falls from the tree not when you shake the branch, but when it is ripe." The universe operates according to its own divine schedule, a sacred timing that transcends human calendars and deadlines. Synchronicities emerge not through force or demand, but through alignment with this cosmic choreography. Each meaningful coincidence arrives precisely when your consciousness has evolved to the point where you can fully receive its gifts. Just as a butterfly cannot emerge until its metamorphosis is complete, the most significant opportunities in your life unfold according to the ripening of your soul's readiness. The universe's timing is always perfect, though rarely aligned with human expectations. When you learn to trust this divine timing, you enter into a sacred dance with the cosmos, allowing synchronicities to guide you toward experiences that await your spiritual maturation. Grace tended her garden with the same urgent energy that characterized most modern lives, until nature itself became her teacher. No amount of willing or wishing could make her roses bloom before their season. Each plant followed an innate wisdom that knew precisely when to break through soil, when to form buds, and when to burst into glorious flower. Through seasons of patient observation, Grace discovered that life's most meaningful moments followed similar patterns. The job opportunity that seemed delayed arrived exactly when she had developed the skills to excel. The relationship she longed for manifested only after she had learned essential lessons about self-worth. Each synchronicity appeared not according to her timeline, but in perfect accordance with her soul's flowering. Divine timing trust exercise. Choose one area of your life where you've been anxiously awaiting change. For the next 7 days, rather than pushing for immediate results, observe the small synchronicities that appear. Record these subtle signs in a journal, recognizing them as preparation for what's to come. Notice how the universe might be gradually aligning circumstances, relationships, and inner awareness, to support the perfect unfolding of your desire. Chapter 9. Emotional Alignment with the Flow. In the quiet dawn of each morning, Vivian would sit by her window, watching the world awaken. She noticed something peculiar. On days when her heart swelled with childlike wonder at the sunrise, when gratitude flowed freely for the smallest gifts, magical coincidences would unfold before her like petals opening to morning light. Yet during periods of anxiety, when she gripped life too tightly, these meaningful moments vanished entirely. The universe speaks most clearly through the language of elevated emotions. Wonder acts as a magnetic force, drawing synchronicities into your field of awareness. Gratitude creates an energetic resonance that attracts more experiences worthy of appreciation. Open expectancy signals your readiness to receive divine guidance, like a radio tuned to the perfect frequency. When you release into these higher vibrational states, you enter a flow where meaningful coincidences naturally multiply, yet fear constricts this flow, doubt creates interference, and the need for control builds walls that block the universe's messages. Your emotional state serves as the foundation upon which synchronicities can build their delicate bridges between the visible and invisible realms. Harold worked his land as his father and grandfather had before him, but with a crucial difference. While they had pushed against nature with worry and force, Harold discovered a gentler way. In seasons when he approached his fields with love, speaking softly to his plants, trusting in their innate wisdom to grow, his harvest flourished beyond measure. But in times of anxiety, when he paced the rows, calculating yields and fretting over every leaf, his crop seemed to withdraw, yielding less despite his increased effort. Through the cycles of planting and harvest, Harold realized that nature responded not just to physical care, but to the emotional energy he brought to his work. His land became a mirror, reflecting back the quality of attention he offered. When he cultivated trust alongside his crops, the earth itself seemed to conspire in his favor, bringing rain at perfect moments and protection from frost. The Synchronicity Emotional States Practice. Each morning, dedicate 10 minutes to cultivating 3 specific emotional frequencies. Begin with wonder. Allow yourself to marvel at the mystery of existence. Move into gratitude. Feel sincere appreciation for the gifts already present in your life. Finally, rest in open expectancy. Maintain a gentle awareness that the universe is preparing to show you something meaningful. Track the number of synchronicities that appear on days you practice versus days you don't, witnessing how your emotional state shapes the fabric of reality itself. Chapter 10. The Doorway Opens. In a bustling coffee shop in the heart of the city, Theodore sat with his usual black coffee and morning newspaper, methodically dismissing the day's events as mere coincidences. For 30 years he had prided himself on his rational mind, explaining away every meaningful pattern as nothing more than statistical probability. Yet on this particular morning something shifted. His coffee cup bore the number 1111, the same numbers that had appeared on his parking spot, his receipt, and mysteriously, in the headline of the newspaper's leading story. As he stared at these repeating digits, a stranger approached his table wearing a shirt with the same number sequence. In that moment, the carefully constructed walls of his logical world began to crumble. You stand now where Theodore stood, at the edge of a vast awakening. The universe has been patient, waiting for your recognition of its intimate involvement in your life. Each synchronicity you've witnessed has been a gentle tap on the shoulder, inviting you to expand beyond the limitations of purely rational thought. The choice before you carries profound implications. You can continue viewing life through the lens of coincidence and chance, or step through the threshold into a reality where every moment sparkles with potential meaning and divine orchestration. This decision marks a crucial turning point in your journey, the moment when you consciously choose to engage with the universe's sacred language. In a small village, Mildred spent decades visiting her grandmother's house, walking past the same walls countless times. One afternoon, as sunlight streamed through an old window at an unusual angle, she noticed something extraordinary: an ornate wooden door that had somehow escaped her attention for 40 years. As she turned the ancient brass handle, she realized that this door hadn't suddenly appeared. Rather, her perception had finally expanded to include what had always been present. This door in your consciousness has always existed. The synchronicities you now recognize have always been present, waiting silently for your awareness to ripen. Like Mildred, you stand before an entrance that promises to lead you into deeper mysteries and greater understanding. The Doorway Declaration Practice. Take a clean sheet of paper and write a heartfelt letter to the universe, expressing your conscious decision to enter into dialogue with divine intelligence through synchronicities. Carry this letter with you for 7 days, letting it serve as a physical reminder of your commitment to this expanded way of being. Each time you touch or see the letter, allow it to remind you that you've chosen to step through the threshold into a life guided by meaningful connection rather than mere coincidence. Part 2. Decoding the Messages. Chapter 11. Cultivating Sacred Attention. In the bustling halls of an elementary school, Beatrice rushed between classrooms, her mind already 3 steps ahead of her body. Papers fluttered from her arms as she hurried past a wall of student artwork, barely registering the recurring butterfly motif that would later prove significant in her life's journey. Day after day, she moved through her routines in a fog of mental chatter, planning lessons, worrying about deadlines, replaying conversations. Until one morning, while automatically filling her coffee cup, she noticed how the steam rose in an unusual spiral. For the first time in years, she paused, truly present to witness this simple moment. In that pause, she realized how many such moments she had missed. The universe speaks in whispers, not shouts. Its language flows through the subtle currents of everyday experience, a pattern in morning frost, the timing of a bird's song, the way sunlight catches a dewdrop. These messages require neither strain nor effort to perceive, but rather a quality of relaxed awareness that allows them to naturally emerge into your consciousness. Think of attention as a clear pool of water. When agitated by constant thought and worry, the surface becomes turbulent, distorting everything it reflects. But when allowed to settle into natural stillness, it perfectly mirrors the sky above. Your consciousness operates similarly. Its truest reflections of universal intelligence appear when you maintain a state of gentle, alert receptivity. High above the coastal cliffs, Chester tended his lighthouse with clockwork regularity. Early in his career, he would frantically adjust the beacon's settings, trying to force its light to shine brighter through the fog. Years of experience taught him that the light worked best with steady, patient maintenance, regular cleaning of the lens, careful adjustment of the flame, quiet attention to the subtle signs of wear or need. One stormy night, as he performed his usual rounds with practiced presence, he noticed a slight change in the beacon's tone. A change so subtle that his younger, more anxious self would have missed it entirely. This small observation allowed him to prevent a mechanical failure that could have left ships without guidance in treacherous waters. The Sacred Attention Training. Select one simple daily activity, perhaps pouring your morning coffee or walking to your mailbox. For 7 days, perform this action with complete presence, allowing your attention to rest fully in each sensory aspect of the experience. Notice how this practice of sustained, gentle awareness begins to illuminate the synchronicities that have always been flowing through your life, waiting for your recognition. Chapter 12. The Language of Dreams and Waking. In the quiet hours before dawn, Gertrude sat at her sewing table, fingers tracing the intricate pattern she had stitched the previous day. The design, a spiral of butterflies ascending toward a crescent moon, matched exactly the vision from her dream the night before. Her hands trembled as she opened her leather-bound journal, comparing the sketch she had made upon waking to the work that now lay before her. This was not the first time her dreams had manifested in the physical world. 3 nights ago, she had dreamed of a red cardinal tapping on blue glass, and that very afternoon, she discovered a cardinal's feather resting on her cobalt-colored window pane. The boundary between her sleeping and waking worlds had become increasingly permeable, each realm echoing the other in an endless dance of meaning. The universe speaks in a single language that flows through both dreams and daily life. When you sleep, you enter the timeless realm where all possibilities exist simultaneously. Here, the rigid structures of ordinary reality dissolve, allowing messages to take shape in their purest symbolic form. These symbols then ripple outward into your waking experience, appearing as synchronicities that complete the conversation begun in dreams. Your dreams are not mere fantasies or random neural firing. They are the first whispers of universal intelligence, painting pictures of potentials that seek expression in your physical reality. Each synchronicity that follows serves as a bridge connecting the wisdom of your dream state to the concrete circumstances of your daily life. Edgar stood at his post in the empty museum, watching shadows play across ancient artifacts. For months he had noticed that his most significant dreams invariably preceded remarkable events. The night he dreamed of golden light streaming through crystal, he discovered a hidden chamber filled with prismatic treasures during his rounds. When visions of flowing water filled his sleep, synchronistic encounters with strangers brought unexpected opportunities flowing into his life. The practice known as the Dream Synchronicity Bridge Journal awaits your participation. Each morning, record the images, symbols, and emotions from your dreams while they remain fresh in your awareness. Throughout the day, document any events, encounters, or coincidences that echo these dream elements. This sacred practice reveals the continuous thread of meaning that weaves between your sleeping and waking consciousness, showing you that every dream holds the seed of a synchronicity waiting to bloom in the light of day. Chapter 13. Animals as Divine Messengers. Through the bustling streets of the city, Florence walked her usual path to work, lost in thoughts about her upcoming career decision. A flash of brilliant red caught her eye, a cardinal perched on a nearby fence, its presence so striking against the urban backdrop that she stopped in her tracks. The bird held her gaze for a moment before taking flight. That afternoon she received the promotion she had been hoping for. As weeks passed, Florence began noticing a pattern. The cardinal appeared before moments of expansion and opportunity. A black cat would cross her path before situations that required letting go. A monarch butterfly would flutter past her window when transformation loomed on the horizon. What others dismissed as random animal sightings, she recognized as an ancient language coming alive in her modern world. The natural world speaks to you through its creatures, each one carrying messages encoded in their very being. Since the dawn of human consciousness, animals have served as bridges between the physical and spiritual realms. Their appearances in your life are neither accident nor coincidence, but precisely timed communications from universal intelligence. Every creature carries specific wisdom. The owl brings messages of insight and intuition. The wolf appears when you need courage and trust in your instincts. The deer emerges when gentleness and grace are required. These meanings transcend culture and time, speaking to something deep within your ancestral memory. Wilbur stood in his fields at dusk, watching yet another owl settle into the old oak tree near his barn. He had initially dismissed these visitors as mere coincidence, even considering them a nuisance. But as he learned to pay attention, he noticed that owls only appeared before situations that required him to access deeper wisdom. They had been present the week before he had to make a crucial decision about his land. They returned when he needed to mediate a complex family dispute. Each time, their presence signaled the need to look beyond surface appearances and trust his inner knowing. To begin working with these ancient messengers, create an animal messenger log. For 2 weeks, record every significant animal encounter, whether in physical form, in pictures that catch your attention, or in dreams. Note the circumstances surrounding each appearance. What decisions were you facing? What emotions were present? What happened in the days following the encounter? Through this practice, you will begin to decode the specific guidance each creature brings to your journey. Before we get into the next chapter, you can download a free ebook version of this audiobook using the link in the pinned comment below this video. Chapter 14. Numbers Hold the Keys. Archibald sat at his desk, meticulously recording figures in his leather-bound ledger, when he noticed something peculiar. The same sequence, 1111, appeared in 4 separate transactions. His analytical mind dismissed it initially, yet as days passed, he encountered this number everywhere, on clocks, receipts, page numbers, even his morning coffee order. Being a man of precision, he began documenting these occurrences. Soon his personal journal filled with repeated sequences: 333 during moments of spiritual insight, 444 when he needed stability, 777 before unexpected blessings. His curiosity led him to ancient texts where he discovered that these numbers weren't random. They were part of a sacred mathematical language used by mystics throughout history. The universe speaks through numbers because mathematics transcends human language. Every number vibrates with specific energy, carries precise meaning, and offers guidance tailored to your journey. The number 1 represents new beginnings and unity with divine source. 2 speaks of balance and partnerships. 3 activates creative expression and spiritual growth. Each number builds upon the last, creating a comprehensive language of cosmic communication. Maxine noticed it first in the zip codes of her postal route. Certain number combinations would appear repeatedly on days when significant events occurred in her life. 5,555 appeared on multiple packages the day before she received news about a long-awaited opportunity. 888 showed up in addresses when financial abundance flowed her way. At first, she tried to calculate the statistical probability of such repetitions. But as these numerical synchronicities continued, she realized she was witnessing something beyond probability. The universe was using her daily work with addresses and postal codes to communicate deeper truths about her life's direction. You live in a universe that constantly communicates through this mathematical language. The numbers you see repeatedly are not coincidence. They are messages encoded in the very fabric of reality. When you begin paying attention to these numerical patterns, you activate an ancient way of receiving divine guidance that bypasses the limitations of human speech. Sacred Number Tracking Exercise. For the next 10 days, carry a small notebook dedicated to recording every repeated number sequence you encounter. Note the time, place, and circumstances of each appearance. Include numbers you see on digital displays, documents, license plates, and anywhere else they catch your attention. Research the traditional spiritual meanings associated with these numbers and observe how they correlate with events and themes in your current life experience. This practice will attune you to the mathematical language through which the universe speaks directly to your soul. Chapter 15. The Symphony of Names and Words. In the quiet corners of the ancient library where Cordelia worked, words began whispering their secrets. At first, she noticed how the word bloom appeared in 3 different book titles she shelved that morning. Later, a patron asked about books on blooming flowers, and on her walk home she passed a new shop called Late Bloomers Cafe. Words carry power beyond their dictionary definitions. They are vessels of energy, containers of consciousness that resonate with specific frequencies in the universe. When certain words or phrases repeatedly emerge in your awareness, they signal that universal intelligence is attempting to activate particular vibrations within your being. Cordelia started documenting these linguistic patterns. The word threshold appeared 7 times in one afternoon, in a poem she read, a conversation she overheard, and even in a street name she had never noticed before. Each repetition felt like a gentle tap from the universe, drawing her attention to life's transitional moments. The language of synchronicity speaks through names, phrases, and words that carry exactly the medicine your soul requires. These verbal messages arise through various channels: overhead fragments of conversation, randomly opened books, street signs that suddenly catch your eye, creating a symphony of meaning uniquely orchestrated for your spiritual evolution. Montgomery discovered this truth on his sales routes across the countryside. One week, he traveled through towns named Liberty, Hope, and Grace. Initially dismissing these as commonplace names, he began noticing how each town's name reflected the exact quality he needed to embrace at that moment in his journey. Liberty appeared when he needed to break free from old patterns. Hope welcomed him during his darkest doubts. Grace offered shelter when he learned to surrender. The universe employs the vast tapestry of human language to communicate its wisdom. Every word that repeatedly crosses your path carries intentional meaning, creating patterns of significance that speak directly to your soul's current curriculum. These linguistic synchronicities serve as sacred prescriptions, offering exactly the wisdom you need in forms you can understand. Word Symphony Journal Practice. For 7 days, record every word, name, or phrase that appears multiple times in your daily experience. Note where and how these repetitions occur, whether through conversation, written text, or environmental signs. Spend time with each repeated word, exploring its deeper meanings and contemplating how it might address your current life questions or spiritual journey. Allow these verbal synchronicities to reveal their medicine, understanding that each repetition is a note in the universe's carefully composed symphony of guidance for your soul. Chapter 16. Sacred Locations That Call to You. In a bustling city filled with endless streets and countless corners, Prudence found herself inexplicably drawn to certain places. Time and again her feet carried her to a weathered park bench beneath an ancient oak tree. Though she tried different routes and made other plans, she would somehow find herself there, as if the location itself possessed a magnetic pull on her soul. At first she dismissed these attractions as mere habit, yet she began noticing that every significant revelation in her life occurred while sitting on that bench. It was there she overheard conversations that answered her unspoken questions. There she found lost items that belonged to people she needed to meet. There she received insights that transformed her understanding of her life's purpose. These power spots exist throughout the physical world, locations where the fabric of reality grows thin and divine wisdom flows more freely into earthly consciousness. Like rivers of light running through the material realm, these sacred spaces serve as natural amplifiers for universal intelligence, making synchronicities more frequent and guidance more clear. Bartholomew discovered this truth during his years at sea. Despite having access to hundreds of ports, he found himself repeatedly guided to specific harbors. In each case, he would discover that the very person he needed to meet was waiting there, or the exact opportunity his soul required had just become available. One port held the mentor who would transform his understanding of navigation. Another introduced him to the partner who would share his life's journey. Each destination proved to be perfectly orchestrated by a wisdom greater than his own. The physical locations that persistently call to you are not random. They represent spiritual classrooms where your soul goes to receive its next lesson. That coffee shop you can't stay away from, the garden path that keeps drawing you back, the quiet chapel you pass daily. These places are portals where divine communication becomes more tangible and synchronicities gather with greater frequency. Sacred location pilgrimage practice. Over the next 2 weeks, identify 3 locations that you feel mysteriously drawn to visit. These may be places you already frequent or new destinations that keep catching your attention. Spend dedicated time at each location, bringing a journal to record any synchronicities, encounters, or insights that occur there. Notice if certain types of guidance tend to appear in specific locations, and how each place seems to specialize in particular forms of divine communication. Trust that your attraction to these spots is spiritually significant and allow them to serve as sacred classrooms for your soul's evolution. Chapter 17. The Meeting of Souls. On a crowded morning train, Millicent pressed herself against the window, avoiding eye contact with other passengers as she had done for years. Yet on this particular day, an unexpected delay forced her to notice something she had never seen before: how each significant relationship in her life had begun with what she once dismissed as inconvenient disruptions to her careful plans. There was the rainstorm that forced her to take shelter in a bookstore where she met her closest friend, the mistaken coffee order that introduced her to her business partner, the canceled flight that seated her next to her future mentor. As these memories surfaced, she understood that these weren't mere coincidences, but carefully orchestrated moments designed to bring specific souls into her sphere of experience. The universe operates with extraordinary precision in arranging human encounters. The same intelligence that keeps planets in their orbits and stars in their constellations works just as diligently to ensure that souls meet at exactly the right moment for mutual growth and exchange. Every delayed train, every wrong turn, every seemingly random encounter serves as part of an intricate choreography of consciousness. Reginald discovered this truth in the depths of his grief. After losing his wife of 40 years, he found himself encountering strangers who seemed mysteriously equipped to help him heal. A chance meeting with a grief counselor at his local diner, an unexpected conversation with a widow who shared his passion for gardening, a young artist who reminded him how to see beauty in the world again. Each person appeared precisely when he needed their particular medicine, carrying exactly the gift his soul required to take its next step toward healing. You live in this same web of meaningful connections. Every person who enters your life, whether for a moment or a lifetime, brings a specific frequency of energy, a particular lesson, or a unique opportunity for growth. That barista who remembers your order might be teaching you about the power of being seen. The stranger who helps you with a heavy package could be demonstrating the grace of receiving support. The colleague who challenges your ideas might be offering the exact resistance your soul needs to grow stronger. Soul Encounter Reflection Practice. For the next 7 days, treat every human interaction as a sacred appointment. Whether brief or extended, each encounter holds purpose. Notice who appears in your path. Ask yourself, what gift might this soul be bringing to my journey? What might I be meant to offer in return? Record these reflections, watching how seemingly random meetings reveal themselves as carefully crafted opportunities for mutual evolution. Chapter 18. Synchronicities in Love and Relationships. Adelaide had always prided herself on her rational approach to romance. She meticulously analyzed potential partners, created detailed pros and cons lists, and dismissed the notion of destiny in matters of the heart. Yet the universe had other plans for teaching her about love's deeper mysteries. It began with the number 1111 appearing everywhere, on clocks, receipts, license plates, in the weeks before she met James. At first, she attributed it to selective attention, until she realized these numbers showed up most prominently when she contemplated canceling their first date. Later, she discovered that James had been seeing the same sequence, leading him to keep their dinner plans despite a work emergency. The universe's orchestration of their love story continued through an intricate dance of coincidences. They discovered they had both visited the same obscure bookstore in Paris on the same day years before. Their grandmothers had been childhood friends without their knowledge. Even their phone numbers differed by just one digit. Through these experiences, you begin to understand that love generates the most powerful synchronistic fields in human experience. When souls are meant to connect, the universe mobilizes an extraordinary array of meaningful coincidences to ensure their paths cross at precisely the right moment. Mortimer witnessed this phenomenon from an unusual vantage point. As a divorce lawyer, he began noticing distinct patterns in his clients' stories. Those whose marriages were truly complete encountered an almost suspicious series of signs confirming their decision to separate, from dreams to repeated symbols of endings. Yet couples meant to reconcile experienced equally powerful synchronicities drawing them back together. Chance encounters at significant locations shared experiences that reminded them of their initial connection. One day, a client arrived distressed about selling her wedding ring, only to discover that the jeweler was her husband's long-lost cousin, who held the key to healing their family rift. Another couple, filing for divorce, found themselves repeatedly stuck in elevators together, each time resolving another layer of their conflict. These experiences taught Mortimer that relationships never truly end by chance. Each union and separation follows a divine choreography, announced through patterns of meaningful coincidences that reveal the deeper purpose of every romantic connection. Love synchronicity, mapping practice. Take a sacred hour to reflect on your significant relationships. For each connection, record the synchronicities that preceded your meeting, accompanied your time together, or followed your parting. Notice any patterns, repeated numbers, recurring symbols, meaningful coincidences that seem to guide these relationships. These patterns reveal how the universe has been orchestrating your heart's journey all along, even when you weren't aware of its guidance. Chapter 19. Technology as Modern Oracle. In an age of endless digital distractions, Cornelius viewed his new smartphone with deep suspicion. At 78, he preferred the simplicity of handwritten letters and face-to-face conversations, yet something extraordinary began to unfold as he reluctantly learned to use his digital devices. One morning, wrestling with grief over his wife's passing, his phone inexplicably began playing their wedding song, though he had never downloaded it. Later that week, grappling with a difficult decision about moving, his computer spontaneously opened to an article about finding peace in life transitions. Each time he questioned his path, a relevant video would autoplay or an email would arrive containing exactly the wisdom he needed, The universe, you see, speaks through whatever channels are available. Just as ancient mystics received guidance through natural phenomena, today's seekers often encounter divine messages through their devices. These digital synchronicities arise not from random algorithms, but from the same intelligence that has guided humanity throughout the ages. Technology serves as a modern oracle, delivering sacred communications through seemingly mundane channels. That notification that catches your eye, that random song that plays during a moment of doubt, that article that appears precisely when you need its wisdom. These are not mere coincidences, but carefully orchestrated moments of divine intervention. Ophelia discovered this truth through her work as a digital artist. Initially frustrated when her software would freeze or glitch, she began noticing that these technical failures inevitably led to unexpected breakthroughs. A program crash forced her to approach a project differently, resulting in her most acclaimed piece. A rendering error created an effect she could never have planned, perfectly expressing her artistic vision. Through these experiences, she learned that even technological mishaps carry divine purpose. What appears as malfunction on the surface often serves as redirection toward greater possibilities. The same universal intelligence that once spoke through dreams and omens now communicates through pixels and code. Digital Oracle Awareness Practice. For the next 7 days, approach your devices as potential channels for divine guidance. Document any unusual technological occurrences, unexpected videos that answer your questions, random social media posts that speak directly to your situation, technical glitches that lead to valuable discoveries. Notice how the universe uses these modern tools to deliver precisely the messages you need to receive. Record these digital synchronicities in a dedicated journal, noting both the technical event and its spiritual significance in your journey. Chapter 20. Books, Music, and Media. In the bustling streets of her daily commute, Penelope noticed something peculiar. The same song that had played during her morning coffee seemed to follow her, drifting from car windows, humming from a stranger's headphones, echoing from shop doorways. At first, she dismissed these repetitions as mere coincidence, but then book titles began catching her eye, the same ones appearing in store windows, on fellow commuters' laps, even scrawled on graffiti walls. Movie quotes she'd forgotten floated into conversations at precisely meaningful moments. These creative echoes weren't random. Each carried fragments of wisdom that spoke directly to her situation. The recurring song spoke of renewal after loss. The book titles hinted at undiscovered strength, and the film quotes illuminated paths forward she hadn't considered. Through these artistic synchronicities, the universe was composing a personalized guide for her transformation. When you open yourself to this possibility, you discover that all of human creativity serves as a conduit for divine communication. The universe speaks through the inspiration of countless artists, authors, and musicians, weaving their creations into the precise pattern your soul needs to perceive. That book that falls open to exactly the right page, that song that plays at the perfect moment, that film scene that mirrors your life with uncanny accuracy. These are not accidents, but carefully orchestrated messages from the infinite intelligence that guides all things. Ignatius discovered this truth through his work as a late-night radio host. Night after night, he noticed that the song requests flowing into his studio carried messages that spoke not only to his listeners, but directly to his own spiritual questions. A caller would request a song about finding courage just when Ignatius faced a difficult decision. Another would ask for a melody about letting go precisely when he struggled to release an old wound. Through these experiences, he learned that media serves as a bridge between individual revelation and collective wisdom. The same force that inspires artists to create also orchestrates when and how their work reaches those who need its medicine most. Media message collection practice. For the next 2 weeks, maintain a journal of every book, song, movie, or article that appears synchronistically in your life. Note both intentional discoveries and seemingly random encounters. That magazine article that catches your eye in a waiting room, the song that plays repeatedly throughout your day, the movie someone unexpectedly recommends. For each piece of media, record its message and contemplate how this guidance applies to your current life journey. Allow these creative synchronicities to reveal the story the universe is telling through the collective imagination of humanity. Part 3, Living in Perfect Flow. Chapter 21, How to Ask the Universe Anything. In the quiet solitude of her garden, Cordelia knelt before her roses, tears streaming down her face as she begged the universe for answers about her son's troubled path. Night after night, she had demanded solutions, pleaded for miracles, and searched desperately for signs, yet the harder she grasped for answers, the more elusive they became. Then one morning, as the dawn light filtered through her window, she understood. Her desperate demands had created static in the cosmic telephone line. The universe had never stopped speaking. She had simply been too loud in her asking to hear its response. When you approach the universe with demands, you create resistance in the very field meant to deliver your answers. The art of receiving guidance lies not in the urgency of your need, but in the clarity and openness of your inquiry. Just as a clear pool reflects the sky more perfectly than troubled waters, a mind at peace receives wisdom more clearly than one churning with anxiety. This sacred art of questioning requires 3 elements: genuine openness to unexpected answers, specific clarity in your inquiry, and patient receptivity to the response. Think of yourself as engaging in conversation with a wise elder who speaks through the language of synchronicity. This elder responds not to demands, but to sincere curiosity. Augustus discovered this truth in the midst of his failing business. Each night he would rage at the heavens, demanding to know why misfortune had befallen him. His questions, why me? When will this end? How could this happen? Came from a place of blame and victimhood. The answers he received matched the energy of his asking. More confusion, more frustration, more dead ends. Everything changed when he learned to ask different questions. Instead of, "Why is this happening to me?" he began asking, "What are you trying to teach me through this?" Rather than, "When will this end?" he inquired, "What must I understand to move forward?" His new questions opened channels that his demands had kept closed. Sacred Question Ritual. Each morning for 7 days, begin by centering yourself in a space of calm receptivity. Write one clear, open-ended question to the universe in a dedicated journal. Let your question arise from genuine curiosity rather than desperate need. Throughout the day, remain alert to answers that may appear through any channel: a stranger's casual comment, a billboard's message, a song on the radio, or a sudden insight that rises from within. Record these responses in your journal, understanding that answers often unfold gradually rather than arriving in a single dramatic moment. Chapter 22. Amplifying the Signal. Each morning before dawn, Imogene would sit in her garden, breathing in the quiet air. At first, these moments felt empty, just another task on her spiritual to-do list. But as days turned to weeks, something shifted. The synchronicities that had once appeared as occasional visitors now flowed through her life like a steady stream. It began with small signs, a friend calling just as her name crossed Imogene's mind, finding exactly the right book falling open to precisely the page she needed, numbers and symbols appearing in perfect sequence to guide her decisions. She noticed that these meaningful coincidences arrived most abundantly on days when she maintained her practice of stillness, gratitude, and clear intention. Your relationship with synchronicity operates much like a cosmic radio receiver. Just as a radio requires proper tuning to receive clear signals, your consciousness requires specific conditions to receive divine guidance with clarity and consistency. These conditions are not mysterious or complex. They are simple practices that align your energy with the frequency of universal intelligence. Meditation serves as the primary clearing mechanism, removing the static of scattered thoughts and emotional turbulence that typically drowns out subtle cosmic messages. Gratitude acts as an amplifier, raising your vibrational frequency to match the high resonance of divine communication. Setting conscious intentions works as the tuning dial, letting the universe know precisely what channel of guidance you're ready to receive. In a small town by the sea, Thaddeus operated the telegraph office with meticulous care. Each morning he would clean the contacts, adjust the mechanisms, and ensure every component was in perfect working order. Other operators questioned his careful maintenance routine, but Thaddeus knew that clear transmission depended on the quality of his equipment's condition and his focused attention while operating it. One stormy night, when all other telegraph lines failed, only Thaddeus's equipment maintained clear communication, saving a ship from disaster. Through this experience, he realized that maintaining the physical instrument was only half the equation. His own steady attention and careful precision completed the circuit that allowed messages to flow clearly. Signal amplification routine. For the next 2 weeks, dedicate yourself to this daily practice. Begin each morning with 5 minutes of quiet meditation, allowing your mind to settle into stillness. Follow this by expressing genuine gratitude for 3 specific aspects of your life. Complete the practice by setting one clear intention for guidance, stating precisely what insight or direction you seek. Record each synchronistic experience that follows, noting any patterns in their frequency or clarity as you maintain this practice. Chapter 23. Manifestation Confirmations. In the heart of a bustling city, Serafina stood before her empty canvas, paintbrush trembling in her hand. She had dared to dream of becoming a full-time artist, yet the gap between vision and reality seemed vast. But as she learned to pay attention, she noticed how the universe spoke through synchronicities, a gallery owner appearing at her local cafe, conversations about art emerging from unexpected sources, even the numbers on passing trucks matching the exact price she had set for her first painting. These signs became her anchors of faith during the uncertain period of gestation, between setting her intention and witnessing its physical manifestation. Each synchronicity whispered, "Your dream is already in motion." When you plant a seed of intention in the fertile soil of universal consciousness, the first harvest appears not in the physical world, but in the realm of meaningful coincidence. Synchronicities serve as progress reports from the cosmic intelligence that processes your desires, each one carrying specific information about where your manifestation stands in its journey from thought to form. Like divine breadcrumbs, these signs create a trail you can follow through the forest of uncertainty. Some synchronicities indicate that your desire has been received by universal intelligence. Others confirm that pieces are being arranged behind the scenes. Still others announce the imminent physical arrival of what you've been calling forth. In a distant valley, Barnabas worked his family's farm with generations of wisdom flowing through his veins. While other farmers anxiously awaited visible sprouts, he had learned to read subtler signs, The changing texture of soil, the arrival of certain birds, the particular way morning dew gathered on the ground. These signs told him that beneath the seemingly barren earth, life was stirring with unstoppable force. Through careful observation, Barnabas discovered that abundance always announces itself through a language of subtle indicators long before breaking through into visible form. The same principles that governed his crops, he realized, applied to every seed of intention planted in the universal field. Manifestation Confirmation Log. Choose 3 current desires or goals that you're working to manifest. For the next 10 days, maintain a detailed record of any synchronicities that might be confirming these intentions are in progress. Note the nature of each sign, whether it appears through numbers, conversations, chance encounters, or other channels. Pay special attention to repeated patterns or escalating sequences of confirmation. This practice will attune you to the unique way the universe communicates, "Yes, this is coming," through the language of meaningful coincidence. Chapter 24, Creating Synchronistic Bridges. Octavius stood atop his latest engineering marvel, a suspension bridge connecting 2 distant shores. As he watched the first vehicles cross the gleaming expanse, understanding dawned in his heart. Just as steel cables and concrete pillars created pathways across physical divides, he realized he could construct invisible bridges between his present reality and his desired future. For months he had yearned to establish his own engineering firm. Rather than merely hoping for this dream to manifest, he began deliberately creating energetic pathways, clear intentions combined with decisive actions that invited synchronistic support. Each morning, he would visualize his goal with crystalline clarity, then take one small step toward its realization. Soon, chance encounters with potential investors became frequent. Unexpected mentors appeared and opportunities arose as if orchestrated by an unseen hand. The universe operates through precise spiritual mechanics. Just as physical bridges require specific engineering principles, manifesting your desires through synchronicity follows exact universal laws. When you establish a clear, energetic bridge through focused intention, you create a beacon that cosmic intelligence recognizes and responds to through meaningful coincidence. This process transcends mere wishful thinking. It requires you to become an active participant in the manifestation process, meeting divine orchestration halfway through inspired action. Each step you take in alignment with your intention strengthens the synchronistic field around your desire. In a bustling city across the sea, Tabitha had made an art of bringing soulmates together. Through years of matchmaking, she noticed that the most magical unions occurred when both individuals held clear intentions for finding love. These aligned desires created a powerful synchronistic field, naturally drawing compatible souls together through seemingly chance encounters. One day, Tabitha watched as 2 of her clients literally bumped into each other at a cafe before she had even arranged their meeting. Both had spent the previous week holding clear intentions for finding their perfect match. Their combined spiritual signals had created an irresistible force that the universe responded to through divine timing. Synchronistic bridge building. Select one significant goal you wish to manifest. Each morning, spend 5 minutes creating a clear, energetic bridge through visualization and intention setting. See your desire with vivid detail, feeling the emotions of its fulfillment. Then, take one small inspired action each day for 7 days that moves you toward this goal. Throughout this period, remain alert for synchronicities that appear to support your desired outcome. Record these signs in a journal, noting how they seem to respond to your combination of clear intention and aligned action. Chapter 25, When the Flow Seems to Stop. In the bustling heart of a thriving city, Temperance sat in her garden, anxiety gnawing at her heart. For weeks, the steady stream of synchronicities that had guided her life had fallen silent. No meaningful coincidences appeared, no repeated numbers caught her eye, no chance encounters sparked recognition. The universe, which had once spoken to her through 1,000 small miracles, now seemed wrapped in silence. Through this apparent void, a deeper wisdom emerged. Just as nature moves through cycles of abundance and dormancy, spiritual guidance flows in its own sacred rhythm. These quiet periods serve as cosmic incubators where unseen forces prepare the soil of your consciousness for the next season of growth. When synchronicities seem to vanish, the universe has not abandoned you. It has simply shifted into a different mode of communication. These periods of stillness carry three profound purposes. First, they provide necessary time for integration, allowing you to fully absorb and embody the wisdom gained from previous synchronistic experiences. Second, they strengthen your spiritual muscles by challenging you to trust the unseen guidance that flows beneath the surface of external signs. Third, they often signal approaching transitions, creating space for you to gather your inner resources before major life changes unfold. Far out on the open sea, Jeremiah stood at the helm of his ship, surrounded by unnaturally still waters. For days, not a whisper of wind had stirred his sails. Yet through years of navigation, he had learned to welcome these calm periods, understanding that they often preceded the most favorable winds. During one such pause, he used the time to repair his rigging and chart new courses. When the winds finally returned, they carried him further than he had ever dreamed possible. The ocean of spiritual guidance moves in similar patterns. What appears as absence often masks profound presence, like the quiet gathering of energy before a quantum leap in consciousness. These apparent voids are actually pregnant with possibility, holding space for new patterns to emerge and deeper truths to take root. The sacred stillness embrace. During periods when synchronicities seem absent, create a sacred practice of dedicating 5 minutes each day to sitting in profound gratitude for the quiet. Let your breath slow and your mind settle into the stillness like a leaf gently floating down to rest on tranquil waters. Ask yourself, with genuine curiosity and openness, what this seeming void might be secretly preparing you for. Remember that just as the earth appears dormant before the spring bloom, these quiet times often precede profound spiritual awakening. Remain receptive to the subtle guidance that emerges from this apparent emptiness, the fleeting thoughts that drift across your consciousness, the gentle stirrings of intuition in your heart, the barely perceptible shifts in your energy. Keep a special journal dedicated to recording these delicate insights and gentle nudges that arise during your contemplative moments. Write them down without judgment or analysis, understanding that sometimes the softest whispers from the universe carry the most transformative messages, like seeds of wisdom waiting to bloom in the fertile soil of your consciousness. Through this practice, you'll discover that what initially felt like absence gradually reveals itself as a different form of presence, one that speaks in the language of silence and teaches through the power of pause. These moments of quiet contemplation often birth the most profound revelations, much like the stillness before dawn holds the promise of a new day. Chapter 26, The Shadow Side of Signs. In the gleaming towers of the financial district, Ezekiel stood before the contract that would cement his largest business deal yet. As he reached for his pen, the lights flickered, once, twice, 3 times. He paused, remembering how the same pattern had appeared moments before a previous venture's collapse. Though his logical mind urged him forward, something deeper whispered caution. The universe speaks through both light and shadow, through doors that open and those that mysteriously close. These signs arrive not to thwart your dreams, but to protect your soul's journey from detours and dangers that your human eyes cannot yet perceive. When synchronicities appear as warnings, they represent the universe's most profound acts of love. Like a parent who pulls a child back from unseen danger, these divine interventions arrive precisely when you need protection from choices that might lead you astray from your highest path. The wisdom lies not in forcing your way through these warnings, but in developing the discernment to recognize when the universe is protecting rather than blocking your good. In a small healing center at the edge of town, Constance prepared for her usual morning clients. Yet on this day, 3 separate patients canceled within minutes of each other, all citing the same unusual reason. Initially frustrated by the loss of income, she soon discovered that a gas leak had been detected in her building. What seemed like inconvenient cancellations had actually protected everyone involved. You stand at similar crossroads each day, surrounded by signs that either encourage or redirect your course. Some synchronicities arrive as golden opportunities, while others manifest as divine interventions, missed connections, unexpected delays, or repeated warnings that protect you from paths not aligned with your soul's highest good. These shadow signs deserve your deepest gratitude, for they often represent the universe's most compassionate guidance. Shadow sign recognition. For 1 week, dedicate yourself to observing the synchronicities that create discomfort or present challenges in your daily life. When your carefully laid plans dissolve through unexpected cancellations, when your devices inexplicably malfunction at crucial moments, or when you encounter the same cautionary signals manifesting again and again in your path, take a sacred pause. In these moments of apparent disruption, sit quietly with the deeper message being offered through these shadow signs. Create a special section in your spiritual journal dedicated to recording these experiences in detail. Note the initial frustration or resistance you felt when encountering these seeming obstacles. Then trace how your perspective shifted as events unfolded. Write about the subtle ways these divine interventions revealed their protective nature over time. Document the unexpected blessings that emerged from what appeared to be setbacks, and reflect on how these challenging synchronicities actually guided you toward choices more aligned with your soul's purpose. Through this practice of conscious observation and reflection, you'll begin to recognize these shadow signs not as mere inconveniences, but as sacred messages from the universe, each one carefully orchestrated to shield you from paths that would lead you away from your highest good. Let each entry in your journal serve as a testament to the loving wisdom that orchestrates even the most challenging circumstances in service of your spiritual evolution. Chapter 27. Weather and Natural Phenomena. High on his hilltop farm, Horatio watched the gathering clouds with knowing eyes. For 30 years he had recorded every shift in wind, every pattern of rain, every play of sunlight across his fields. Yet it wasn't until he began mapping these atmospheric conditions against the weather of his soul that the deeper pattern emerged. On days when grief filled his heart, the skies opened with cleansing rains. When his spirit soared with joy, sunshine broke through even the most stubborn clouds. During periods of intense inner transformation, thunderstorms rolled across his land, their lightning illuminating not just the night sky but the depths of his consciousness. The elements speak an ancient language of synchronicity, carrying messages as old as creation itself. Rain arrives not merely through atmospheric pressure but through divine timing, offering emotional cleansing when your soul most needs to release and renew. Wind sweeps through your life as an agent of change, its direction and intensity reflecting the transformations unfolding within you. Sunshine breaks through clouds precisely when your consciousness is ready to embrace new clarity and understanding. At the edge of the northern seas, Evangeline tended her lighthouse with extraordinary care, having learned that nature itself offered guidance for her sacred duty. She noticed how unusual cloud formations often preceded the arrival of ships in distress, how certain patterns of bird behavior signaled changing conditions before her instruments could detect them, and how aurora displays coincided with moments of profound spiritual insight. The weather patterns surrounding you are not random atmospheric events, but conscious participants in your spiritual journey. Each storm brings not just rain, but revelation. Each clear sky offers not just sunshine, but confirmation. Each wind carries not just air, but answers. You live within a living symphony of elements, each playing its part in the orchestration of your soul's evolution. Elemental synchronicity. Tracking for 10 days, become a devoted observer of nature's dialogue with your inner world by maintaining a sacred chronicle of both the weather's dance and your soul's response. Record with careful attention the day's temperature as it rises and falls, the ever-shifting tapestry of clouds above, the blessing of rain when it comes, and the whispers of wind as it moves through your world. Alongside these atmospheric observations, document the subtle landscape of your being, the ebb and flow of your emotional tides, the varying currents of your vital energy, and those precious moments when divine wisdom pierces the veil of ordinary consciousness. Pay special attention to the delicate threads that weave between heaven and earth, between the outer weather and your inner climate. Perhaps you'll notice how the gathering of storm clouds coincides with mounting emotional tension seeking release, or how the first rays of dawn breaking through morning mist parallel breakthrough moments in your spiritual understanding. Watch for those sacred instances when a sudden gust of wind arrives precisely as you reach a moment of decision, or when a rainbow appears just as hope dawns in your heart. Through this practice of intentional observation, you'll begin to decode the ancient language through which the elements speak directly to your soul, offering guidance, confirmation, and support along your path of awakening. Let each weather pattern become a sacred text, written in the sky for those with eyes to see and hearts to understand. Chapter 28. Collective Synchronicities. In the quiet corners of her small-town library, Cordelia began noticing an unusual pattern. As she stamped due dates and shelved return books, patrons would share their experiences of seeing the same sequence of numbers, 1111 appearing on clocks, receipts, and street addresses. Others mentioned encounters with white doves landing on their windowsills at dawn. Still more spoke of vivid dreams featuring ancient doorways opening to golden light. At first, she dismissed these shared experiences as coincidence. Yet as the stories multiplied, she recognized a deeper truth unfolding. These synchronicities weren't isolated events, but threads in a larger tapestry of meaning weaving together the consciousness of her entire community. When synchronicities ripple through groups of people simultaneously, they reveal the interconnected nature of human experience. Just as waves in the ocean affect every boat in the harbor, waves of spiritual awakening move through the collective consciousness, touching multiple lives with the same divine signatures. These shared meaningful coincidences serve as cosmic announcements of transformation, occurring not just within individuals but throughout entire communities, cultures, and even the global human family. Algernon discovered this truth through his work at the city newspaper. As editor, he noticed how major stories seemed to emerge not through random events, but through intricate chains of synchronicity experienced by multiple people at once. A whistleblower would feel inexplicably compelled to speak up on the same day that documents surfaced through unexpected channels, while witnesses stepped forward, guided by dreams or unusual signs. Through these patterns, he realized that history itself unfolds through collective synchronistic orchestration, with groups of souls being called simultaneously to participate in important moments of human evolution. Your personal synchronicities often carry significance beyond your individual path. When you notice signs and meaningful coincidences in your life, you're not just receiving private guidance, you're participating in vast waves of awakening moving through human consciousness. Every synchronicity you experience potentially connects you to countless others receiving similar messages, all serving the greater emergence of expanded awareness on Earth. Collective Synchronicity Survey. For the next 2 weeks, engage in sacred conversation with those around you about their recent experiences with synchronicity. Note any patterns of shared signs, similar animal encounters, or recurring themes in their meaningful coincidences. Create a simple map or journal of these collective patterns, watching for messages that might be speaking not just to individuals, but to your entire community or humanity as a whole. Chapter 29. The Healing Power of Meaningful Coincidence. In the depths of winter, Magdalena sat alone in her empty house, surrounded by photographs and memories of her beloved husband. As twilight settled over the garden they had tended together, a cardinal, her husband's favorite bird, landed on the windowsill. It stayed there watching her with unusual intensity, just as the clock showed 2:22, the exact time of their first meeting decades ago. This moment marked the beginning of her discovery that the universe sends its most potent medicine through synchronicities. In her darkest hours, meaningful coincidences arrived like divine prescriptions, their song playing on the radio at crucial moments, finding his handwritten notes in unexpected places, strangers sharing stories that echoed their love story. The language of synchronicity speaks most tenderly to those in pain. These meaningful coincidences serve not merely as signs, but as actual transmissions of healing energy from the infinite source of love that orchestrates all existence. Each synchronistic moment creates an opening through which divine comfort flows, carrying frequencies of healing precisely calibrated to your soul's current needs. Zachariah discovered this truth during his long recovery from war. Each morning, he would find feathers arranged in perfect circles outside his door. Throughout the day, specific numbers would appear that corresponded to memories of courage and resilience. In the evening, strangers would share stories that mysteriously reflected his own journey toward wholeness. Through these experiences, he learned that synchronicities function as a sophisticated healing system, with each meaningful coincidence delivering specific medicine for different aspects of trauma and pain. You live in a universe that constantly conspires to heal you. The synchronicities you encounter are not random events, but carefully crafted prescriptions from divine intelligence. When you lose someone you love, the universe sends signs of their continued presence. When your heart breaks, meaningful coincidences arrive to remind you of your strength. When fear overwhelms you, synchronistic encounters appear to restore your faith. These healing synchronicities often come in waves, with each meaningful moment building upon the last to create a complete course of spiritual medicine. They may arrive through nature, through other people, through songs or symbols, but always they carry the exact frequency of healing your soul requires in that moment. Healing synchronicity recognition. During any period of physical, emotional, or spiritual challenge, dedicate extra awareness to the synchronicities that appear in your life. For each meaningful coincidence, pause and ask, what healing energy does this moment carry? How is this sign offering medicine for my current situation? Record these healing synchronicities in a journal, noting how each one contributes to your recovery and transformation. Chapter 30, Living as a Synchronicity. In the quiet hours of dawn, Cordelia sat in her favorite rocking chair, watching the first light touch the garden she had tended for 7 decades. As memories washed over her like gentle waves, she began to see a pattern emerge, not just in the events of her own life, but in the countless lives she had touched along the way. There was the rainy afternoon when her car broke down, leading her to seek shelter in a small cafe where she met a grieving widow who needed someone to listen. The time she missed her train and found herself comforting a young man contemplating a life-changing decision. Even the day she accidentally entered the wrong classroom and ended up inspiring a student to pursue their dreams. These weren't mere coincidences or random acts of kindness. They were precisely orchestrated moments where her presence served as a vessel for divine intelligence to touch other lives. Through this realization, she understood that every soul is a walking synchronicity, a living embodiment of the universe's perfect timing. You too are such a divine appointment. Every person you meet, every conversation you have, every moment you share with another soul has been arranged by the same intelligence that aligns stars and guides planets in their orbits. Your presence in someone's life is never accidental. It is a synchronicity made flesh, a living bridge through which universal wisdom flows. Maximilian discovered this truth through his music. Night after night, he would take the stage in different cities, playing songs that seemed randomly chosen. Yet time and again, audience members would approach him after performances, sharing how a particular melody had arrived at exactly the moment they needed its message. One night, a simple blues riff helped someone find courage to begin again. Another evening, a tender ballad offered healing to a broken heart. Through these experiences, he realized that his entire artistic journey was being guided by something greater than himself. Every canceled show, every last-minute venue change, every spontaneous improvisation served a purpose he couldn't have consciously planned, delivering specific frequencies of healing, inspiration, or awakening to souls who were divinely appointed to receive them. Living synchronicity awareness. For the next 2 weeks, approach each interaction with a sacred knowledge that you are a synchronicity in motion. Before every encounter, silently ask yourself, how might I be a synchronicity in this person's life? And what gift am I meant to offer through this encounter? Record your insights and observations, discovering how the universe works through you to touch other lives in meaningful ways. If you enjoyed this audiobook, I created a free ebook version for you. You can download it using the link in the pinned comment. Conclusion. You have journeyed far from where you began, from a world of seeming chaos to one of divine order, from dismissing coincidences to recognizing the sacred language that speaks through every moment. Like a musician, learning to hear the subtle harmonies that create a symphony, you have developed the ability to perceive the intricate orchestration behind life's apparently random events. Through these chapters, you have discovered that synchronicities are not merely meaningful coincidences, but doorways through which divine intelligence enters your experience. You have learned to read the signs in numbers and names, to recognize guidance in the flight of birds and the patterns of clouds, to hear wisdom in unexpected conversations and seemingly random encounters. But more than this, you have awakened to the profound truth that you yourself are a synchronicity, a divine appointment in the lives of others, a conscious participant in the cosmic dance of meaningful connection. Every person you meet, every word you speak, every act of kindness you offer serves as a channel through which universal intelligence touches other lives. You now understand that nothing in your journey has been accidental. The challenges that seemed to block your path were redirections toward greater good. The unexpected encounters that changed your course were divine orchestrations. Even the moments of apparent emptiness served as sacred pauses, preparing you for deeper revelation. As you carry these teachings forward, you move through life with new awareness. Your eyes now perceive the sacred patterns woven through ordinary experience. Your ears recognize the subtle whispers of divine guidance in everyday conversations. Your heart feels the pulse of universal intelligence, beating through each moment of synchronistic connection. The universe has been waiting for this awakening, for your recognition of the role you play in its endless dance of meaningful coincidence. You have become not just an observer of synchronicities, but a conscious vessel through which they flow. A living bridge between the seen and unseen, the ordinary and the miraculous. If this resonated, let's not just scroll past like it's ordinary. Comment with a declaration. I see the signs. I trust the flow. Or your own version of that truth. Let this be your signature in the quantum field, your way of saying, I'm awake, I'm listening, I remember now. If you enjoyed this exclusive audiobook, I handpicked this next book which will change your life.